Hello. All right, so I want to talk about painting paper. This is a really great option. If you're going to be doing a collage, collage is where we cut up paper to make a new picture, but cutting up construction paper, it gets kind of boring looking because it's just solid colors. And so before we collage, I like to do a day where we paint paper. And every student will be able to make up to 4. You don't have to make 4, but you can make up to 4. That will be the most, okay? The paper will be up front, so grab a piece of paper, and you'll need a tray so that we don't make a mess all over the room and have to clean tables. Just place the paper in there, and then at every table, there will be a color of paint and 4 brushes, okay? So if there's an open spot at that table, then you can sit down with your tray and begin to paint. So let's say, how about I sit at the yellow table, and the yellow table is going to have yellow paint. So I will just start painting my paper. And I want it to look, I want to see the brush strokes. So I don't want to just paint it really solid, because if I paint it solid, what's the point of painting paper? I could have just used construction paper. So I want to kind of make it look interesting. So I'm just painting these wispy kind of marks on here. And then when I get my yellow all over my paper, I think that looks good. I'm gonna leave the brushes at the table, okay? And then I am gonna go to the next table. And there will also be a cup of water and paint at the table, okay? So I'll go over, how about I pretend I head over to red table, and red table, of course, has the red paint, and they also have brushes at their table. So when I get to the red table, I'm going to use those brushes, and I'm going to start to paint. Let me see if I can get this in the camera. There we go. Now, once I start to paint on top of the yellow, if your brush is getting dirty, instead of dipping it back in there, you might have to clean it in the water. Just use your judgment. So now, remember I said I don't want solid paper necessarily. I'm going to try to get like a cool kind of look where I just lightly, I'm not really brushing super hard. You could even tap like this. Do all different brush strokes to create different types of paper. Maybe you want to make paper with polka dots. Maybe you want to do some zigzags on your paper. We want to have all different kinds of colors of paper to use for our collage that we're going to be doing for our next project. So the better, the more interesting the paper, the better these collages are going to look. Okay, so now I've got this kind of really neat looking paper with red and yellow on it. Love that. I'm going to leave the brush at the red table, but before I leave the red table, I have these scrapers. They're have a different kind of texture on, and all I'm going to do is go across my paper, and I'm just going to scrape away at it a little bit. Maybe I'll even go in this direction. And I'm just creating some new textures on this paper so that whenever someone wants to use it next week in the collage, it has a really neat look to it. Okay, so there's that piece of painted paper. I'm going to leave the scraper here at the red table since that's where I was. And then bring this over to the drying rack and find a spot to put these. We'll have to put multiple pieces of paper on each shelf because if everyone's doing 4, it's going to fill up really quickly, okay? So lift up those shelves above it, put yours on the drying rack, and these do not have to have names because we're all going to be sharing. So they'll just be a great big box full of beautiful painted papers when we start our next project, and they'll be made by all of you guys. So don't worry about names, just have fun making textures, creating these beautiful papers and try to make them unique and different, okay? All right, you guys, when this is on the drying rack, you may go get another piece of paper as long as you haven't done 4, and you can start again, maybe create something different, go to some other table colors, and maybe do a different kind of texture, maybe the next one polka dots or little zigzags. Totally up to you, whatever you'd like to do, okay? All right, you guys, I can't wait to have tons of beautiful painted paper to work with for the rest of the school year.